In his previous life, he didn't know what emotions were. He killed if he was asked to kill, he kidnapped if he was asked to kidnap, he stole if he was asked to steal. There were only relationships of order and obedience, a handler and a dog. However, it was different now. Sylvia, Helen, and the maids gave to him unconditionally, without anything in return. It was the first life where he only received, so he couldn't explain what type of emotion the tingling sensation that he was experiencing in his chest was. But there was one thing he knew. He didn't want Sylvia or the maids to cry. Even if they couldn't always smile, he didn't want them to be sad. I wouldn't have felt anything if they had laughed at me instead. However, the people at Lord's Manor laughed at Sylvia. The collaterals under the platform blatantly cackled, and the direct line on the platform frowned as if they were observing a hateful bug. I will show them. Everyone who laughed at Sylvia would be taught a lesson. Their nasty behavior would be returned in full. It was a sunny afternoon. A young boy was sitting on the grass in the garden. With his dark blonde hair fluttering in the wind, his facial features had a nearly perfect proportion, despite looking childlike. If there was one flaw, it would have been the way his pale face suggested his poor health. Sigh. The boy, who had stayed seated for a long time with his eyes closed, finally opened his eyes. I'm about to have 3 rings of fire. Rayon smiled slightly. He had already grown enough to be called a young boy, rather than a child. It has already been 7 years. 7 years had passed since the first judgment ceremony, and he was now 12 years old. Thanks to his regular training, the 2 rings of fire were about to become 3. It's a bit sad. If the ice wasn't spread throughout his body, he would have already gotten 3 stars. But training alongside the ice inevitably slowed down his progress. Still, it wasn't all in vain. Status window. He thought the now familiar words to himself. Status window. Name, Rayon Zeekhart. Title, none. State, Curse of Frost, 9 strands, poor stamina, decline in athletic ability, decline in mana affinity. Trait, Ring of Fire, 2 stars, water resistance, 2 stars. Asterisk additional abilities have not been unlocked. His water resistance had reached 2 stars, and the symptoms of his hand and feet becoming stiff had vanished once the cold body disappeared from the state. It was still difficult to move his body because of his other constitutions, but the problem would be solved naturally once the Ring of Fire reached a higher star rating.